In August 1862, John Hunt Morgan fights with the locals in Sanford Town. Confederate cavalry had moved into the Sanford Town area, and it was led by John Hunt Morgan himself. John Densler saw the Confederate troops, Densler saw the Confederate troops remove a Union flag from the home of John Weissenberger and destroy it. Densler was 18 years old and he was enlisted in the 1st United States Engineers of General George H. Thomas's Army of the Cumberland, and he served to the end of the Civil War. Densler also reported a skirmish between the Union Home Guard and the Confederates, although no one was injured. As the Confederates retreated, they apparently captured several local Home Guardsmen, including Densler's uncle Marcus Beach, who lived in Sanford Town. Marcus Beach was released farther south in Crittenden, along with other Union men who refused to fight for the cause of a few large land slaveholding speculators. January 1st, 1863, Karl Christian Schurz, a German-American journalist, newspaper editor, and orator who in 1869 became the first German-born American elected to the United States Senate. He convinced Abraham Lincoln to free the slaves. When Karl Christian Schurz was in Spain, he concluded that the possibility of Europe recognizing the Confederacy was very real, and that Lincoln should declare the war a crusade against slavery. It was Schurz's ideas and influence that eventually held sway with Lincoln, and it resulted in the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1st, 1863. Karl Christian Schurz wrote, "The German American can accomplish great things for the development of the great composite nation of the New World if in his works and deeds he combines and welds the best that is in the German character with the best that is in the American." During his later years, Karl Christian Schurz was perhaps the most prominent independent in American politics, who is noted for his high principles, his avoidance of political partisanship, and his moral conscience. His wife, Margaret Schurz, was instrumental in establishing the kindergarten system in the United States. That's Margaret Schurz, a German, wife of Karl Christian Schurz, established the kindergarten system in the United States. On May 3rd, 1863, Ferdinand Grobschover is born in Germany. In 1863, Abraham Lincoln, a bluegrass working farm boy from the Sinking Spring Farm in Hodgenville, Hardin County, which is now LaRue County, declares Thanksgiving a national holiday. In July 1864, President Lincoln signs a bill establishing the Bureau of Immigration, and he encourages the importation of contract laborers.
And I heard, as it were, the noise of thunder. And I looked, and behold, was death, saying, "Come and see."
History prefers legends to men. It prefers nobility to brutality. Soaring speeches to quiet deeds. History remembers the battle, but forgets the...
Abraham Lincoln says, "The war has
However,
depleted
history
our
remembers
workshops
me.
and materially lessened our supply of labor in every department of industry and mechanism. In their noble response to the call of their country, our workmen in every branch of the useful arts have left vacancies which must be filled, or the material interest of the country must suffer. The immense amount of native labor occupied by the war calls for a large increase of foreign immigration to make up the deficiency at home. The demand for labor was never greater than at present, and the fields of usefulness were never so varied and promising. The South, having torn down the fabric of its labor system by its own hands, will, when the war shall have ceased, present a wide field for voluntary white labor, and it must also look to immigration for its supply. The following list of 4 may be mentioned as a special inducement for more immigrants. Number 1, the high price of labor and low price of food compared to other countries. Number 2, our land policy, which is given to every immigrant after he shall have declared his intentions to become a citizen. A home and a farm, which is substantially as a free gift, charging him less for the 160 acres in a simple fee than what is paid in the annual rent of a single acre in England. Number 3, the political rights that an American is conferred upon the persons of foreign birth. Number 3, the political rights conferred upon persons of foreign birth. And number 4, our system of free schools, melting in a common crucible all differences of religion, language, and race, and giving to the child of the day laborer and the son of the millionaire equal opportunities to excel in the pursuit and achievement of knowledge. This is an advantage and a blessing which the poor man enjoys in no other country. In 1864, B.F. Sanford, who is the founder of Sanfordtown, Kentucky, becomes a commercial agent in Haiti. B.F. Sanford was also a bank president and a newspaper editor. In 1864, the settlers in Sanfordtown built another mission church and a school after the old one had burnt down. This Catholic school was being headed by Mary Vondergreen. In April 1864, enrollment at the German Catholic school was 73 children. Sanfordtown would eventually come to be a vibrant little German town with hotels, post office, school, fire department, grocery stores, a service station, restaurants, a bank, and lots of natural stone cottages. In 1865, a German was elected mayor of Louisville. Philip Tompert was the 15th and the 17th mayor of Louisville, Kentucky. So in 1865 and 1867 to 1868. Philip Tompert was born in Württemberg, Germany, and immigrated to Wheeling, West Virginia in 1831, and he moved to Louisville in 1837. In 1865, after Robert E. Lee abdicates at the Appomattox Courthouse, Abraham Lincoln is assassinated, theoretically by John Wilkes Booth. Due to the high amount of lynchings that are going on after the Civil War at this time in Kentucky, it's said that Kentucky actually seceded after the Appomattox.
However, history remembers me before I was a president. It shall only remember a fraction of the truth.
And hell followed me.
After the Civil War, William Justice Goble's father was completely broke, and he got evicted by the sheriff off the farm that they were sharecropping and living on in mid-season while the crops were in the field. The Bavarian Gobles sold their cows for money for a little bit of cash, just enough money to be able to travel from Pennsylvania to Covington, Kentucky, where they found a German church who took the German beggar family in. Goble grew up poor, and he had to sell newspapers barefoot in the snow just to earn enough money to survive. When William Justice Goble was a youth, he came across Basil W. Duke. Basil W. Duke was John Hunt Morgan's right-hand man. And Basil W. Duke had told William Justice Goble's father how he loved to watch the Germans run and squirm away whenever him and the John Hunt Morgan and his raiders and his Confederate raiders would come into town. Basil W. Duke even made a pass at William Goble's wife, Augustus Goble. In 1866, Germany was experiencing the Austro-Prussian War. December 1st, 1866, John Augustus Roebling, a German-American, constructs the suspension bridge in Cincinnati, and it was the longest suspension bridge in the world at 1,057 feet, which was the main span at the time, 1,057 feet. In June 1866, the 7 Weeks' War happens, which is the Austro-Prussian War. And this is where the bloody Prussian Iron Chancellor Otto von Bismarck military smashes militarily smashes Austria and Austria's allies, including Saxony, Hanover, the Hesses, Bavaria, Baden, and Württemberg, which made Prussia the dominant German hegemonic state in Europe. The Prussian breech-loading needle guns carried the day over the Austrians with their slow muzzle-loading rifles, who lost a quarter of their army in the battle. 4,500 Prussians were killed in action in the Austro-Prussian 7 Weeks' War in June 1866.
Otto von Bismarck, appointed Prime Minister of Prussia in 1862. A clever man, a shrewd man, but devoted to the Prussian dream of conquest, and a master of the Prussian method of achieving it. The great questions of the day will not be decided by resolutions of majorities, but by blood and iron, and to go with it, ruthless discipline at home. As soon as anybody can show me that it is sound policy, I shall be equally satisfied to see our troops fire at the French, the Russians, the English, or the Austrians. 2 years after Bismarck became Prime Minister, he provoked a war against Denmark. The result? Victory. Later, against Austria. Result, another victory. Four years later, the great test against France. An amazed world stood by as Prussia, until then a minor power, dared to challenge the strongest nation in Europe. Result, another victory.